Hello everyone, it is I, the Witch of Paint, also known as Daria. This week we are doing something a little special because this is not just some random painting that I'm doing just for funsies. This, my dear viewers, is the first painting for a fairy tale video. To be fair, the finished result of this painting ends up being a little bit more spooky because it's a bit dark overall in the painting, but it is nighttime, so that's just what it is. The story isn't supposed to be spooky, it just comes across that way because it's at nighttime. It's supposed to be a fun little fairy tale. This is basically just going to be the first scene for that, and why am I doing this like this? Simply because otherwise I wouldn't have the time to paint the paintings, and this way I can do, both weekly videos and also work on these fairy tale things that I kind of love working on because they're so much fun and they're always so lovely when they turn out well. So that's what this painting is going to be for, but I'm not going to spoil the story itself in this video because that would ruin all the fun of watching the story video in the end when it's done, which is probably going to take a long time, but it will be done eventually. I don't know if I'm going to manage to do the other two stories that I also wanted to do this year, but we'll see. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But for those of you who have watched my Inktober streams from last year in 2022, you may recognize the Gargoyle from the bottom right-hand corner. If you haven't seen my Inktober streams, it's okay, you can watch them after you finish this video, but do bear in mind that some of them are quite long. Because I haven't, had the time to cut them down to a shorter length than others, so that's just a little heads up, they're gonna be long. Anyway, let's talk about gargoyles, since one of those is our main character. Usually, gargoyles are carved statues of fantastical creatures which are placed at the end of a waterspout or a rain gutter to let the rainwater flow away from the building so that the building isn't eroded away by the rainwater. And that's basically the original job of a gargoyle. There are other sort of gargoyles that I've seen when I just typed in gargoyle. Most of them are like that, but there's also plenty that are just crawling up walls or holding lanterns or just sitting on top of some stone and looking all bossy. And the gargoyle from this story is definitely not the type to keep water running from down the church walls that much, I am going to say, but let's try and not spoil too much. Let's not spoil the story itself. First, let's talk about the reference I used for the church building itself, which is basically a church I at some point saw and took a picture of, but I don't remember where exactly it was. I am pretty sure it was somewhere in Ireland at least, but I don't remember much of it. And I also matched it up with a different church that I found pictures of in my gallery, and that's probably also from Ireland. But I kind of did that mostly to just not make it look so small. And also because, I thought it would look fun if there was like an extra tower and a big dome roof behind it. I thought that was just gonna be fun, and so I did that for funsies. And this time around, I also ink my drawing after sketching everything out because it would help me keep the shapes of the characters and the building of the church overall better. And also the little graveyard that I decided to put in there, which is probably going to have relevance in the story, but also maybe not as much. Maybe I just wanted a graveyard in there. You will not know until you read the story, and then you'll know. Right then, let's talk about gargoyles and what they are, because the story is about gargoyles, or at least it involves gargoyles like their main characters, and I want to understand them a little bit more than I already do. I vaguely remember looking something up a little bit when I was drawing the first Inktober drawing, but this time around, I kind of want to know more and I have the time to look up some things, so We're gonna start it with Wikipedia again because that's somehow my starting point with this. I do go into other articles that have like a little bit more elaborate stories, but Wikipedia has a whole section about where the word itself originates from. This is gonna be a bit tough to pronounce. I haven't taken French in ages, but apparently it comes from the French word gargouille, which may translate to throat or gullet. Most other languages refer to them as something that sounds similar to gargoyle, and in general it just refers to the sound of water gurgling from the mouths of those statues. So they were literally named after the gurgling sound of water coming out of it. Yeah, okay. There is also a French legend around it. According to the story, Saint Romanus, who's the bishop of Rouen, saved Rouen from a dragon. We're talking, about a typical Western dragon here. Big creature, bat-like wings, long neck, breathing fire, the whole shebang. It killed so many women, children and men that it could not even eat all of them, apparently. And the townspeople then decided to strike a deal with the dragon, so rather than him, raiding the town every now and then, they would send a human sacrifice to him once a year. Good thing our dear Saint Romanus is there to save the day, right? Well, yeah, but also he's a bit scared to go into the dragon's den alone, because by the time the, time came around that you had to bring a human sacrifice to the dragon, Saint Romanus was like, okay, I'm gonna go there, and I'm going to defeat this dragon, and I will show him the power of God, and yeah, I will do that, but I really don't want to do it alone. I don't want to go alone. Please, someone come with me. And basically nobody else wanted to go with him. And then eventually a condemned criminal decided to step up and go like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And said criminal then went with him, to help the old bishop out. And so the two ventured to the dragon den together to defeat the dragon. And basically the job of the condemned criminal was to pretend he's the sacrifice and that the dragon can eat him. Which, was enough to get the dragon out. And then Saint Romanus stepped out and he did the sign of the cross over the dragon. Which, that was quick. I mean, that was a really easy defeat of a dragon. Okay, fine. He's not quite defeated yet, technically. But apparently making the sign of a cross over a dragon is enough to calm it down to a point where it is basically calm enough to put a leash on it. And honestly, I wish from this point on forward that Saint Romanus kept it as a pet. But no, he decided, I'm gonna take this back to Rouen. I'm gonna just take the dragon that was tormenting this town for years, and I'm gonna take it back to them so that they can all burn the dragon at the stake. Saint Romanus, we need to talk. You could have had the coolest pet ever, but you didn't, because you decided to burn it. You basically already had it tame enough to put a leash on it. It wouldn't have let you do that if, it wasn't, I'm putting too much thought into this. But anyway, they burned the dragon at the stake, but the dragon head itself didn't want to burn because it was fireproof. This was a dragon, after all, and this dragon breathes fire, and if he wants to breathe fire from his mouth, he has to, have a fireproof head, or else every time he tries to breathe fire, his entire head would go up in flames, and that would not be pretty, would it now? I still think a saint riding a dragon would have been way cooler, but this is the church we're talking about. So, now they have a dragon head, and they don't know what to do with it. They didn't think this through at all. And then the solution that they ended up coming up with was, okay, we have this dragon head. It's big and scary. How about, hear me out, how about we hang this up on the church wall? Why do I keep finding these rather disturbing stories. Like, how do I keep finding these? It's so creepy. Imagine killing a dragon and then deciding, yeah, okay, spoils of war, I guess. We're gonna hang it up on my church. It's a church! I feel like my next video should definitely be about something that's less... this. Yeah, I really do need a break from weird, creepy stories. Anyway, because the condemned criminal helped him, Saint Romanus declared that every year at the Fete of Ascension, that's what the article called it, I guess Feast of Ascension for English people, a criminal shall be pardoned and not killed. So basically forgive a criminal unless he's a traitor. That's what the article said, at least. So all's well that ends well, right? Right. I kind of wanted to know if they still do that, but then again, I remembered that we don't really have a death penalty here anymore. At least I don't think so. I hope we don't have a death penalty anymore. Instead, I found articles that mentioned that Notre Dame is located in Rouen, and honestly, all this time I was looking at that place and I didn't realize that that's where Notre Dame is, and now it makes sense, this whole Gargoyle thing, why it's taking place in Rouen, and why everything's there, because Notre Dame is, in the Gothic style kind of build. That's what it's called, yes. And therefore, Notre Dame has lots of gargoyles, the water spout gargoyles and all the gargoyles. It's got all the gargoyles. And, that's pretty neat. And apparently that one dragon head has inspired all other gargoyles everywhere. Because one day it rained and the water flowed into the dragon's head and out of its mouth and away from the building. And a medieval architect apparently saw that and was like, that's neat. I should totally make something like that too. Personally, I think it was just a case of someone deciding, this looks a bit boring just like this. Let's make it a dragon's head, huh? But I guess that's not as cool as a story about a saint killing a dragon and hanging it up on a church. But anyway, now we have gargoyles. Honestly, what is it with us humans making up weird, disturbing stories about literally everything? We've got star signs with disturbing stories, and we've got gargoyles with disturbing stories. Why are we like this? Oh well. Our gargoyle is not some man-eating dragon. It is a cat gargoyle, because almost everything I do is cat-themed. I'm a cat lady, what can I do? But his job is a bit different, because the other job of the gargoyles was to drive away evil spirits and demons. Okay, maybe he doesn't actually do that in the story, but I imagine he did that sort of thing in the past, and that he's now sort of retired from that job and is just chilling at the front gate of the church. Which, it's good, fine, it's just... And now he's a bit of a family guy, It makes sense, right? I'm actually quite excited to get the story video done because, according to my sister, my story doesn't require many changes to it at all, which is a first. I remember the times where she'd come to me and go, nope, you gotta rewrite that whole thing. So I'm glad she didn't do that this time. I just gotta do some minor changes to it. I just hope I don't have to do too many paintings for this, because that's gonna then, drag the whole making of this story video out quite far. So I just hope that it's gonna be a few paintings, like for my Witch of Paint fairytale, that was just 8 paintings and that was doable. But there's a lot of different characters interacting with this in this story, and so it's gonna probably take a little bit longer, probably. So, well, we're just gonna have to wait and see. And maybe next year, when I'm doing this sort of story plotting in Inktober, I will get the actual stories for that out a lot sooner. I was just taking a little while to figure out everything I'm going to be doing this year, and I only just got into making weekly videos, so that's that as well. I hope, next time I do a story video, it's going to come out a little quicker, a lot closer to Inktober, maybe. but also it could be that, it doesn't really work out, but all a matter of time. Only time can tell, essentially. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're going to start and get into the final result here. This is how the painting has turned out. I mean, the idea basically is going to be that the video is going to move from the top right corner to the top left corner to the bottom left corner to the bottom right corner. So you guys get a little bit of an idea of how the story is going to flow, hopefully. But anyway, I'm pretty proud of this. I'm pretty proud of this painting. I know last week I was very meh with my painting, even though I really didn't have a reason to be meh with it. That was just some weird emotional stuff in me going on. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this and are looking forward to the finished story just as much as I am. And if you're looking forward to it, why not subscribe so you don't miss it? And while you're at it, give this video a like and comment something fun about gargoyles that, maybe I haven't really mentioned. I'm the Witch of Paint, and I will see you all next Sunday. Bye!